Marley's began when my father was living up behind the Nanjeenan Hall here, and I had come home from working on the railways with a bit of money in my pocket. And my father said to me, "Rolling stones gather no moss, so why don't we buy a truck?" My father was working on farms, and so I took over his jobs and he drove the truck, and I would help him drive the truck. When we first started, I envisaged to have 2 or 3 trucks and just run a trucking business. But to see what it is today, I am very, very proud.
I suppose when we first started off, I worked hard, we wanted to be successful. You know, we had lots of ups and downs and didn't think we'd be here.
Your friendship ring is, she took it off the other day, and inside it, it's got "From Frank to Georgie, with love,
July 68.
July 1968.
I never ever expected to see anything like this. We never ever expected to leave Merredin. That's where we used to live at Nanjeenan, but when we first got married we didn't have any of that. We only had the front room and the bath underneath on rocks. That house in Nanjeenan, well, that was an eye-opener.
This brings us to the old house. My father helped me build the main frames, and all underneath here we used as our workshop.
We had one room, and you went up a ladder to get in there. You used to have to go and find the wood to get the chip heater going. When we had 7 trucks, I had 7 fellas living there. I used to look after the 7 fellas, plus the 3 kids, and Frank, and the phone.
Georgie used to have to come bring the kids down to bath them, and then when the phone would ring, she would have to grab the kids out of the bath and run up the stairs. This was our home. All of my boys came home from hospital to this house, and every piece of timber here in this house I put there.
At night time, when he wasn't out driving and that, he built room by room on.
This block of land here was the only asset that I really had. The banks wouldn't lend me much money, and a couple of times I had to hire equipment from repossession agents.
But then, you know, you always found a little bit of money came in and you'd pay a little bit off this and a little bit off that. We never ever had anything repossessed.
It was great to keep working with Dad because Dad and I worked very well together. So I've put this stone here in remembrance of my father. A grand man with a grand plan. Thank you.
So where's 28, is he coming back?
One's in Mobile 3 and one's in Mobile 5.
So he's left his truck at Bruce Rock, righto. We'd still be in Merredin with 5 trucks if we didn't have Mum here.
Why I love our business is coming to work every day and working with family.
Transport industry, family businesses, that we are a dying race.
The rest of the family, when we arrived, something was already there. We just built upon it and gave us the opportunity to do it better and to grow.
They all make me proud. The whole 4 of them, plus 9 grandkids we've got.
I like just being part of a family.
It's just always fun, always something to do.
You know, family is just so important.
Oh, yeah. Really quick for you. Look at it. See your granddad talking about it.
Yeah, it'd be worth a bit more than $1.
I get the phone if there's a maintenance problem. Mum gets a problem if there's a driver problem at the early hours of the morning. She's the backbone, keeps us all together.
Am I the backbone? I don't know.
Georgie was really there beside me all the way. Because of the time we shifted from this house to that house, I was in Fremantle prison. Marley, 29, admitted carting superphosphate without a permit and was fined $270 when he appeared in Midland Court on Friday.
Frank used to do illegal carting. We used to come down to Perth and cart fertiliser. Then at midnight we used to leave Perth and I used to come up in the ute first, and if I saw any heavy haulage or anything on the road I used to have to turn round and go back down and let them know. We used to do that 5 days a week. We had 7 prangers in 7 years and we didn't have any insurance and yeah, we had lots of tough times, but we survived them.
Back in them days you weren't allowed to compete with the railways. It made it very, very difficult for a transport operator to survive. I was willing to go to jail because the transport regulations were so unfair. My first fine in Perth was something like $300 or $400, and so I said, oh, well, you want to be silly? I'll refuse to pay the fines. And I did instruct Georgie before I left here that under no circumstances was she to pay the fines. And so I was a little bit surprised when I got a call at the gate, would Frank Marley come to the gate? And when I got to the gate, the warden said, you're leaving us today? And I thought, Georgie's paid the fines.
Well, I must have, he was too busy. He had to go to jail and off he went, and I had 3 kids at home, all young, and he just said, keep going, and that's what I did.
While I was in jail, right here about where I'm standing, there was a rally, and there was probably 100 farmers came to this yard here and raised enough money to pay the fines to get me released from jail. If you go back to the Sunday Times, there's me, 2 of my sons, 1 on each arm, walking out of the gates of Fremantle Prison. Cyril Rushton was the Minister for Transport at the time. He came and he said if I stopped carting illegally, he would guarantee that he would free the transport industry up within 10 years. And which he did. That's why you can cart anything wherever you want to in the state now, and whatever you want to cart.
What we're trying to do today is beat the previous world record for the longest road train, and we've already weighed it, 603 tonne all up, and hopefully we're going to travel about 8 kilometres.
We came up with the idea that the longest road train in the world would be a way of attracting sponsors. It brought the largest crowd to Merredin that's ever been there.
Because a lot of people didn't believe we'd do it. And just to see it coming down the road, it was just, you know, amazing to know that, you know, we did it. That was a proud moment, wasn't it, really? That was a really great moment to raise money for the Tourist Bureau.
I think we raised $80,000 or something for the day.
My family's association with the Marleys goes back generations. Marleys were general carriers. Frank had 3 or 4 trucks. We approached him to cart all our grain. So Frank does all our trucking. They cart our first tonne and our last tonne off the farm during harvest. Now that was a bit of a step out for us, and it was also a very big step out for Frank, because Frank had to have his drivers acting as my agent, which was something a general carrier doesn't usually do.
Our loyal farmers, we still want to continue to service them because of their loyalty to us and to Marley's Transport.
They've driven a lot of commerce and money through the Merredin area. We've tripled our business since we've been contracting with Marley's.
That's where we came from. The farmers are important, and I look at it and go, we've still got families we were dealing with for 50 years where we now deal with the grandkids. That's special.
Mum and Dad were good friends with Frank and Georgie, and I went to school with the boys and known them since primary school. And Marley's are great in the fact that whenever we need them, they're there, and sometimes we need something at a drop of a hat, and Georgie just makes it happen, and just the whole family and the crew are just amazing and look after us so well.
We're very good at building long relationships, so whether it's the existing guys that have worked with us for a very long period of time or the new people that come on, we love working with people.
Customer has always been king, and if we say we're going to do a load, we're going to do a load.
I now know if Marley say, look, we'll be there, I know they're shifting heaven and earth to be there. So what I love working with Marley's, that gives me confidence in what I'm doing.
Very proud of what the boys have achieved in the last 20 years. They really have grown this business to something that is very exciting.
Is testament to the fact is when you believe in something, you can achieve the goals that you set out to get.
It's been a long journey from when I first went home from school. We had 7 trucks to now obviously having 70.
In the last 50 years, from a 8-tonne truck to a 85-tonne truck, the change has been enormous.
As we've gotten bigger, we've broken the business into smaller parts. So the main part we do is still grain, and we also then do lots of manufactured feed, which is something that we've only been into for the last 20 years. And that's allowed us to be able to grow our business into a new market that we never had before.
Over the years, we've had lots of good staff. We've still got some that have been here over 10 years, 15 years. And if we didn't have good staff, we wouldn't be where we were today.
Determination and dedication is where we've been able to get to now. Never dreamt that it would be this big.
I would just like to thank them for 30 years or more of just looking after us and our business.
Over the last 50 years, what would be my reaction? I'd say, damn good job. My father would say that too.
It is just wonderful to have achieved where we've got to today.
We take great pride in our fleet, and I'd hope people go like, wow, these guys really know what they're doing.
Thank you very much for your support.